All right. Okay, I'm going to start again with introductions since we had one or two that just joined. So my name is Laura Cardoso. I am a coordinator here for pro bono cases, specifically for our immigration team. There may have been some of you that I met at the pre-law panel that took place in December. And since then, we've had a number of people interested in volunteering as student volunteers here with Volunteer Lawyers Project. So we're really excited. Thank you for reaching out. At some point, I think we'd like to learn more about you and how many hours you're interested in doing, if this is something that's required for your coursework, or just something that you want to do in addition to coursework out of the goodness of your heart. Either way, we are so happy to have you here. I'm going to let my two coworkers and Sal, they're all going to do some introductions. And after we do introductions, we can let you guys introduce yourselves as well. Hi, Sal, welcome.
Hi, Sal.
She is.
Sal, you're on mute. I just got done doing a brief introduction of myself and saying welcome to the couple of students who were able to join today. We have a few others that have expressed interest. They just had class conflicts. But this meeting is being recorded, so we'll share this with those who were unable to participate.
That's wonderful. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for volunteering. It's nice to see you all again. I got to meet you during the, I think all of you, right? When you came around for the orientation. Did you guys already introduce yourselves? Tamara, Laura, Sherry, why don't you go? I'm the executive director, and I'll be helping do this training. So thanks, everybody.
Hi, I'm Sherry Blair. I'm the pro bono coordinator for the Talk to a Lawyer clinics, our walk-in assisted clinics that we have at like a couple of the libraries, the Westcott Community Center. I help coordinate all those, and I'm hoping for a couple of you interns. So, off to
Hello.
Tamara.
Yeah, hello, and I'm Tamara Skanes. I'm the intake manager here, and I collaborate with Sherry, and I provide best practices for our intakes, and I also provide supervision with our Talk to a Lawyer clinics as well.
Murray Carmen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Mary Carmen. I'm a senior here at Syracuse University, and I'm an international relations major with an interest in international law. And I'm just happy to be here, happy to get to know everyone.
Thank you. Sia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. My name is Sia Ingres. I'm a sophomore at Syracuse University. I'm studying journalism at the Newhouse School and then Law Society and Policy at Maxwell, as well as sociology. I'm just excited to be here. Yeah, and I just like have an interest in law and just like volunteering in general. I already have course credit from an internship, so.
And Shayla?
Hi, just to introduce myself, my name is Shayla. I'm a senior. I'm majoring in sociology and I'm minoring in philosophy. And I'm on a pre-law track. I want to go to law school. And I just thought that this would be like a really good use of my time to like get hands-on experience because I haven't like been able to like see like how the work goes down like in a day-to-day basis, and I just want to like help and volunteer. So yeah.
Wonderful. So I'll hop in and give kind of a background. You guys all got the orientation to what Volunteer Lawyers Project is. So I'll only do like 1 minute on that, and then I'll go into a background on Talk to a Lawyer. So Volunteer Lawyers Project, we're a free legal aid organization. We have a staff of about 30, about half are attorneys, about half are non-attorneys that do everything from paraprofessional work to client support, finance work, and outreach. And we do work in a variety of areas. We do immigration, family law, housing, um, debt, small business, LGBT rights, and surrogate court and elder law. Um, the only area that we really don't touch on is criminal law. And it's mainly due to funding sources, never the two shall meet. They tend to be totally different funding, but um, the Talk to a Lawyer clinic is one of the oldest programs that Volunteer Lawyers Project has. So Volunteer Lawyers Project, we were originally a project of the local county bar association, which, is like a professional association of lawyers. We were founded in 1991 as part of the bar association and became an independent nonprofit about 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And when we started, our first two programs were eviction defense, which we still have, and then what they called our neighborhood clinics, which is what our Talk to a Lawyer clinics are. And the idea was, at the time, wouldn't it be good, most people don't have access to lawyers, don't have any ability to talk to a lawyer. Wouldn't it be good to have a place where somebody could go and just get some questions answered? And so that started with Westcott Community Center, which is still one of our central Talk to a Lawyer sites and one of the ones that will be an option for you to volunteer at. So the role that these programs serve years later is still fundamentally the same thing. When we did a legal needs survey some years ago, one of the first things that stood out to us was that over 60% of the people that we surveyed said they had no idea where to go for any free legal help. They didn't know that an attorney would even be available for them. And most of the individuals that we were working with didn't have, lawyers in their family or their friend groups. So they just sort of didn't know where to go. So what Talk to a Lawyer ends up being for us is like legal triage. It's a place where people can go in and can try to sort out what their legal issues are. I usually think of the consultations as the lawyers are almost like trying to untie a big knot. Like, when you leave your headphones, when you have headphones that have like the cord on them in one place, you come back and they're always in a knot. That's what Talk to a Lawyer is. We try to untie that knot and figure out what do we have here. And often folks have a combination of legal issues and other issues, and they might not know what issues are legal issues and can be addressed, whether it's through a court or an administrative proceeding or what it is. And then what issues are more like social service issues, and maybe they just need to be directed to the correct place that can help connect them with food or with government assistance or things like that. So one particular time that I did a consultation with somebody at the legal clinic really stood out to me as like an example of how what a big difference in terms of peace of mind these consultations can give. I had a family come in who had been served with a warrant of eviction, and they didn't know what it was. They had never been evicted before. And the first thing that she asked me is like, am I being arrested? What's happening? And so as a lawyer, I was able to explain, no, warrant of eviction, that just means that it's still a terrible situation, but it means you're going to lose your housing. You're not going to be put in jail, and then she had some other questions too regarding child support. And that was something we were able to help, point her in the right direction of. So, you regularly see most people who have legal issues, most people who are living at very low incomes have like 2 or 3 legal issues a year, and sometimes they're all kind of intertwined with each other. And so that's where we're trying to figure out, where do they need to go? In most instances at the Talk to a Lawyer clinic, the lawyers are not helping, they're not taking the cases on for full representation. This is what we call limited scope representation. So it's advice and counsel and information. In most instances, the attorneys are spending somewhere between 15 minutes and an hour and a half or 2 hours with the client. I think on average, it's probably more like 30 to 45 minutes a client. And in most instances, the attorney is not filling out forms with the client, although we do have some volunteers who do that. So in most instances, they're referring them to either, they're trying to figure out if there's a legal services provider, including our full services, that might be able to help them and referring the client to that. Or they're helping explain to somebody how to do something on their own. So the most common issues that come up are the sort of the same things that we see coming into our office via online intake, housing, family law, debt. There's questions about, if a family member became incapacitated or a family member died, what happens with their property and where do we go? So those I would say are probably the three biggest areas that we get questions around, but then there's a wide variety of other kind of random things. Most of the folks who come in have very low income or no income, but because we don't turn people away for being over income, there are people who come in that do have higher incomes. And in those instances, we're telling people, actually, you really should hire a lawyer. Sometimes people don't know, like, is it worth it to hire a lawyer? Do I need a lawyer to do this thing? And in that case, we're like, yeah, actually, it is worth it, and a lawyer can make this a lot easier for you. Or we're like, no, you don't need a lawyer. But more often it's like, if they have money, we're like, you probably need a lawyer because the legal system in New York is incredibly complicated, excessively so, if you ask my opinion. Let me think. I'm going to go through the intake with you, but does anybody have any questions thus far? No? Okay, so before we jump into the intake, we have wonderful volunteer attorneys that you will meet at these clinics. Most of them have are volunteering on a once a month basis. We do have some law firms that rotate people through less often. The attorneys that you're meeting usually are very experienced attorneys. We do have some that are fresher out of law school, but the majority of the people who volunteer with us have 10 or more years of experience that are volunteering in the Talk to a Lawyer program. Most do not practice the areas of law that they're being asked about, but many of them have taken it upon themselves to learn the basics of many, many areas of law so that they can provide advice and counsel. Some of the attorneys that you're going to see are former legal aid attorneys who went on to become, attorneys for the courts or the state or in private practice. Others have never worked in legal aid and have only done private practice. So in addition to serving the clients, if there are downtime when you're sitting there with the attorney, I strongly encourage you to chat with them about what they do for work. Why do they do it? Did they like it? Like what led them to that? Because I can say almost no lawyers ended up doing what they had originally thought they were going to do. And the path as a lawyer takes you in many different directions. And the folks that you're meeting are people who are there spending their, very limited personal time to give back to the community. And it's great and they're not required to do so. So it's great to find out, like, why do you do this? What does this give you that you don't get in your day-to-day? What do you love about your day-to-day? What don't you? And I always ask them to tell you stories about, if it gets really dull or quiet, be like, so what's the craziest case you ever worked on? Or what was the most interesting case you ever worked on? Or, and I have gotten some wild stories out of attorneys over the years. Like, I love stories. And so just ask them, ask them about themselves, ask them about their clients, and you're going to learn a lot. The other thing that you're going to learn a lot about are soft skills that you learn through observation. So, for example, as you're sitting there with the attorney, pay attention to the questions they're asking. And if you're not sure why they're asking a question, make a note to yourself or put a little thought. You can even write it down or remember it for afterwards and ask the attorney, why did you ask that question? Because um, given how skilled a lot of these attorneys are, there are no questions that they're going to ask that are for no reason, and it might not always be immediately obvious why they're asking things. So part of what I want you to see is this question of triaging. How do the attorneys triage questions? How do they get to the legal issue? How do they redirect clients? Most clients come in and they want to tell their whole life story. And the attorney really doesn't need to know 99% of the things that the client is saying, but they might engage them about a wide variety of issues. Part of it is to build rapport so that the person will believe them and trust them. Part of it is to screen for other legal issues. Part of it may just be curiosity and friendliness. So, pay attention to the questions they're asking. Pay attention to the way they communicate with the client, with um, you know, the mannerisms, the things they're saying, and ask them questions afterwards. Why did you do that? And how do you do that? Some are very good at certain things and are, less great at other things. That's true of all of us, right? And so if you get to work with different attorneys, pay attention to like, what is it that you're seeing that works really well? And what are you seeing that's like, I wonder why they did that. Um, Sherry or Tamara, both of you have the attorneys really well. You've sat in on many of these consults and you've talked with these people over the years. Is there anything you would add about the attorneys and kind of the learning experience that the students are going to get in this process?
One thing I can say is the attorneys that we do have, a question that might be interesting to know is why do they keep returning year after year? They've been doing it some of them have been doing it for 5-6 years. Request another clinic. Honestly, Sarah, you pretty much covered it, but I did want to say that the observing the attorneys and watching their body language and how they read the prospective client's body language, you're just going to learn a ridiculous amount about humanity in general. So I'm done.
Okay. Well, I
Tamara,
would
anything
say,
to add? Yeah.
yes, well, my experience working along with some of the attorneys, I will say that they do have some wild stories. They do. I'm the type of person that asks a lot of questions and I like to know how things, work. So I will say most of them are open to any type of questions you may have. I will say they're very thorough. They're very patient with the clients when they come in. They listen to their stories. Actually, they kind of listen too much where sometimes I had to kind of navigate with the time to let it know, because sometimes we get clinics where there's, maybe 5 people waiting to speak with the attorney, and we maybe only have an hour and a half to a 2-hour block. So we kind of want to give each person that shows up, an ample time to be able to speak with the attorney. So I kind of try to monitor the time as far as that. With me, I do know that they appreciate whenever we have assistance there for them, because most of the time it's just the attorney there. So it is good to have someone there, whether it's someone from our staff or an intern who can help navigate as far as having the client come in, fill out an intake, let them know that, the time frame it may be for when they will be able to be seen, just try to reassure them, that they are going to get a chance to speak with the attorney. But I do feel that all of you will gain a lot of knowledge and really will benefit from volunteering at our clinics.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, Tamara. Like, do pay attention to how many clients are present. The attorney will often get really tied in with the client that they're with, and they want to give them their full attention. So it's important that if there's, 2 other clients still waiting and you've only got a half hour left, do remind them, be like, hey, we have 2 more people. And the attorney might really appreciate that, so that they know how much time's left.
Right.
Laura, did you have something you wanted to add to it too?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think that this experience will be invaluable. I think that it's going to be an opportunity to get the real world experience you might not necessarily get through your coursework. But I did want to highlight that we have students from a variety of backgrounds, from philosophy, sociology, international relations. So I think that it will tie in really well with what you're each studying.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to also ask the attorneys how they got to where they are. What did they study? What did they do after
Mhm.
they graduated? Did they have any like volunteer or internship opportunities that were really meaningful and impactful to them? And the idea here, as Tamara explained, is that you would be able to assist the attorney and participate in these Talk to a Lawyer clinics. While it's also a benefit to the attorney, it will be a benefit to you as well. So it'll be a win-win situation.
Yeah, definitely. And this is an opportunity that we don't always make available to undergrads. Usually the students that go are first year law students. So it's not this, even though you're there, you're going and you're like, I'm just helping with an intake form and sitting in and shadowing. This is actually an opportunity we usually reserve, like I said, for law students because it is such an amazing opportunity to be able to like sit in and observe legal consultations in ways that law students don't usually get till their second or third year. So that's why we usually offer it to first year law students.
And just really quick, if you do have some downtime or you're waiting for the attorney to show up or there isn't a client there, there is what's called our referral guide. Take
Oh
a
yeah,
look at it,
yeah.
glance through it. It is a wealth and a fountain of information. It has, look at Tamara smiling. I know. It is a binder that you will have there. You will see the attorneys use it. It is available online. It is available in the binder form.
Yeah.
Go through it, look through it, see the services that are truly available to the community. And you'll kind of be astonished. I just wanted to interject on that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm definitely going to share that resource because it is something that you are able to help with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share the intake and go through what we need to have you help with while you're there. Um, so when you're volunteering, you become a member of Volunteer Lawyers Project, even though it is just for a couple hour period, which means that anything that is said there is confidential. Any personally identifying information that here is confidential. You cannot share it outside of the context of the clinic. You are, yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward. You're part of our team. Actually, sorry, let me reshare this so that you're not seeing my whole screen because if not, you're gonna get all my pop-ups from Teams and stuff like that. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna look to my other screen. I'm not ignoring you in terms of the little block here. The intakes for Talk to a Lawyer are really straightforward. It's really just 2 pages. These should be in a box in any of the clinics that you're at. If there are none in the box, you need to immediately let Tamara and Sherry know so that those can be replenished. So the main thing we're going to have you deal with is the first side of it, and I'm going to explain to you why we gather the data. And then the second side, the attorney's supposed to fill out. And if you're there and you notice the attorney doesn't fill it out, please remind them to fill it out. They might even want you to fill in some of the info for them so that they have to do less and spend more time with the clients. So really basic, we do track and enter into our case management system every client that comes through, and it's really, really helpful because we have some frequent flyers. And if we see them coming back multiple times, it could be because they're not getting the info that they need. And Tamara or Sherry, usually it's Tamara because Tamara does the data intake for a lot of it, will then refer them on for might look at it and say, oh, actually they need more assistance. We'll get them to somebody else, or we can follow up from our office. So we do the date of the clinic, their first and last name, their gender and their pronouns. That's because we really want to honor people and how they identify. I should say for their name, we don't ask for their legal name, we ask for their preferred name, okay? And it can be, if somebody is not used to being asked their pronouns and their gender, and then they ask, why are you asking that? Just be like, oh, we're just trying to make sure that we honor people's how they identify, you know. So if they don't want to give it, it's not a big deal. Any of these, if they don't want to tell us, we're not going to fight with them. Okay. We just let them know, we gather this info so that we're best able to serve you and so that we know who it is in a broad aggregate way that we're serving. We don't provide this detailed info to any funders. It's only an aggregate so that, they'll ask us, how many people did you serve that are African American? How many people did you serve that are white? How many people did you serve that are 20? I just did a report for United Way. How many people did you serve that were between age 25 and 64? It's that kind of thing that we provide. We get their street address and zip and their phone number when we ask if it's okay to text. This is really important because we do most of our follow-up with our clients via text message these days. It's just so much easier to get in touch with them that way because people don't always have minutes. They don't always, a lot of people don't answer. I don't answer the phone if I don't know the phone number anymore because it's always, and I'm not joking, Jessica from the loan application process. I did not apply for any loans. I don't know who this person is. And at this point, I feel bad for whoever they recorded the voice of because she didn't get enough money paid to her. She's not probably getting any kind of like for future payments. Email, we do email documents to folks as well. Date of birth, and I'm going to make this bigger in case anybody is looking on a small screen. Date of birth, that's how we tell the difference between one John Smith and another John Smith, and then race or ethnicity. Again, we only report this in the aggregate. That doesn't affect our ability to serve them. And if they refuse to answer it, it's not a problem, okay? But we do have a lot of people that refuse to answer it. It can feel awkward for some of our attorneys to ask people that. So this is really helpful to us if you just make sure people fill it in. I will say we often give these forms to the client to fill out, but not all of our clients have a very high level of literacy because many of our clients either English isn't their first language, or maybe they never finished schooling, or maybe they have sight issues. There's a lot of different reasons why somebody might not be able to fill out a form on their own. And so in some cases, folks might feel embarrassed about not being able to fill out the form on their own. So it's always fine to ask somebody, hey, would you like, here's the form. Would you like help filling it out? I'm happy to fill it out. That's what I'm here for, Opposing parties, this is important because with the attorneys that are there, what they're doing is an actual knowledge-based analysis of conflict of interest. So an attorney, we have all these rules of professional responsibility that apply to us. And one of them that you've probably heard before is this concept of, oh, that's a conflict of interest. And what that means is they are serving somebody who is an opposing party on the case in the same or a similarly sort of related matter. And so in order to know that, they need to know who the opposing party is on a case. And not all cases have opposing parties, but in some cases they do. So we ask them to write it down so that the attorney can do a quick glance of that. Easy too, if there's any attorney that is on the opposing side, that helps them, especially if they're from a big law firm. They might not know all of the clients that their law firm is representing, but they likely know all the attorneys in their law firm. So that's an easy way for them to know there'd be a conflict. Short description of the legal problem. If they want to just write it up, just like a couple of notes, custody, somebody passed away, something like that. Doesn't have to be in legalese. How many people live in your household? And then your total household income per month. The reason we ask this is because this is how we determine where they fall in the federal poverty guidelines and whether or not they would qualify for ongoing legal assistance from somebody else. So for example, let me see if I can well, I'll show it to you when I show you the legal referral guide. I'll show you the chart because it's right in there. And then source of income, like if it's employment or other. This people get weird about answering. Some people don't care. They're like, oh yeah, like people who fill out a lot of applications for legal assistance are very used to answering these questions. People who don't fill out applications for assistance, whether it's public benefits or other things like that, often feel more uncomfortable with this. It is okay if they don't fill this out, but again, it's like we need this info. We're not going to turn them away for not giving it, but we do need this info in order to be able to refer them on to the right referrals. And then this is actually right here, this paragraph is the most important thing of this entire consult, because in order to provide what we call limited scope or just advice and counsel clinics, we need for the person to acknowledge the limited nature of the representation and consent to that. And so that's what this does. We going through it, this is everything here is relevant to rules of professional responsibility for attorneys. You say, I understand I'm meeting with a volunteer attorney recruited by Volunteer Lawyers Project, and that the services will be limited to the consultation and assistance today and will terminate at the end of this clinic. Nobody's agreeing to represent me on an ongoing basis after today, and I'll be provided only with information and advice based on the info I provide today. So it's really just kind of saying, you know, we all agree this is concise and limited scope. We don't know everything. We can't know everything. So we're only advising you based on what we know. Everything that I discussed today with the staff and volunteers, so you folks, will be kept confidential to the full extent permitted by the law and required by the rules of ethics, except for as follows. I consent to the sharing of this information above with funders. So it's important they understand we do share in aggregate the information above, okay? And pursuant to the funding agreements and contracts. And I consent to the release of this information for the purposes to demonstrate the efficacy of these services. So same thing. It's like, we're not going to give out their names and numbers and things like that. But, you know, we will potentially share info like de-identified info. And then the clinic is free. Everything is free. And we have the client sign it, and then a witness that's either you or the attorney. It doesn't matter which one. Any questions so far about what the intake is and why that we ask that info? No? Okay. Then on the back side, we ask for the client's name, the clinic location, so that when this comes in, we know because sometimes they've scanned it or something. So these forms are two-sided, but they will be scanned back to us with just one piece. So we need it to be attached. The attorney name, this is critical so that we know who actually served the client. We ask the attorney to write a brief description of the client's legal issues. So this could be really simple. It could be like 1, child custody issue, 2, eviction issue, 3, consumer debt. It could be as simple as that, or they could give a lot more info. They could write, you know, the client has an order of protection against them and they want to be able to visit with their child. They haven't seen their child in, 3 months. They want to know what they can do to go ahead with trying to make it so they can see their child, something like that. So they could ask a lot more detail. Advice or information given. This could be as simple as 1, call VLP's family court clinic. 2, go down to DSS and try to change your child support, whatever it is. In the example I just gave, it might be go to VLP's family clinic for assistance filing for an order of, for a petition of visitation, things like that. Referrals, where you sent them, again, the clinic or DSS or whatever it is. And were they diverted from litigation? That's because one of our funders asked that. That's like, did this person say, I'm going to go sue somebody? And the lawyer said, don't go sue that person. Yeah, nothing good is going to come from that. And here's why, which actually is advice I give sometimes. It's like this most commonly actually comes up in like family law settings where we have somebody say, um, my ex is not visiting with their child in alignment with the visitation. It says they're supposed to visit every other week. They're not visiting every other week. I'm really annoyed with them, so I want to change the visitation order. And I say, why? Do you want them to visit? No, I don't. I'm just annoyed that the order says that they're supposed to be and they're not. Do you want them to visit more often? No, I don't. Then don't change anything. Don't petition, because what's going to happen is everything gets reopened and it's a new can of worms, you know? So that's what we mean by diverted from litigation. And then we ask them to send it back to Sherry so she can keep track of who, actually was seen and that we have the forms back. So that's the form. It's pretty straightforward. We tried to keep it as bare bones as possible because the less we ask, the more likely it is that it'll be filled out. Now what I'm going to do is open up the referral guide now. So the referral guides are printed out and are on our sites. Have they all been printed and dropped off now, Tamara, from your last update? You're pretty sure? Yeah. Amazing. So on our website, under our all right, let me move all this stuff out of the way. On our website, which screen are you seeing? Let me make sure I got it right. Good. Under Get Involved, we have our volunteer resources. And among those are the volunteer manual and also the federal poverty guidelines, which are also in the volunteer manual. The federal poverty guidelines, I was talking to you about the idea of how we figure out if somebody's eligible for ongoing legal assistance. In most instances, somebody has to be at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines to get full legal assistance. And so with a family of, so if that's just one person, they have to earn less than 31,300 a year or 2,600 a month. So say you got a mom who's got two kids who came in, they have to earn less than 53,000 a year, or 4,400 a month. Court-appointed attorneys for criminal and family law, it's been increased to 250%, which is great. Eviction defense, it's actually 80% of area median income. So that's like if you've got the mom with 3 kids, it's 75,000. So most of the clients would qualify for that. So we don't expect you to remember what people are going to qualify for. Instead, what we say is look at the legal referral guide here. And again, these are printed off. They're in a 3-ring binder at the clinic. We update it once a year. And by we, I mean Tamara puts tons of time and energy. She reaches out to every single agency that's listed in here every single year to try to get this updated.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Tamara. So again, we put in the poverty guidelines. We had the 2024 poverty guidelines in there because it gets updated in January. So we now have new guidelines that are on our website. And then when you're flipping through it, they've got the guidelines. We have the most common legal referral list. This is also available printed out in the box of materials there because folks get sent to these groups so often that we're like, they could just check it or just circle it or whatever. But we also say, you can grab this list to write on the back the other referrals. I always, when I work with the attorneys and train them on how to do these clinics, I always advise them to write down detailed instructions for every single client. And that's not something you can help the attorney with as well. It actually saves time if you write it up while they're giving the advice. So this could be like when we say, oh, go to the family court clinic. We'll say, go to Onondaga County Courthouse at 401 Montgomery Street, which is here on this list. We'll circle it and say, go to room 116 at Wednesday at 9 a.m. Bring your prior custody order or proof of paternity or whatever it is. Like we'll write like 1, 2, 3, because when people are coming to us, they're really stressed out because there's no such thing as a non-stressful legal issue. So every single person that comes and talks to us is stressed out. And when somebody's stressed, the ability for their neural pathways to allow them to retain stuff is diminished. That's just basic like neuroscience fact. Like stress and anxiety causes cortisol to be released, which affects somebody's ability to understand what's going on and retain it. And so we always try to lower the stress of people when we're talking with them. And we always try to write really detailed notes so that for the client, we don't necessarily keep those notes, but we try to write really detailed notes for the clients so that they know what they need to do. And when they leave there and they're like, oh my God, what just happened? They can look back at the notes and be like, oh yeah, first I need to do this. Second, I need to do this. So that's something you can really help with. What else? We have state court help desk info and online resources. This is another thing you can do is that sometimes what the attorney might need to do is look up online some of the resources. If you've got your cell phone there, you can do it. We don't have an attorney computer at these sites in most of the sites. White Branch we do, but the rest we don't usually. So if I'm the attorney, I'll often be like, hold on 1 minute, and I will go on my phone and I'll start looking up the legal resources right then. And that's something you can do with your phone as well while you're there. Some of the attorneys are better than others at Googling things on their phones on the site. There are some attorneys that volunteer with us who are in their late 70s and even early 80s. So that have been, Sherry says even higher. Late 80s. So some have better computer, skills than others. And then we list where the other clinics are, because sometimes somebody's at our clinic, but they might not, if they need to follow up, they might, need to go a different day to a different clinic. And that list is also on our website. Now, this is where it gets into the meat of the matter. The referral guide has A through Z little tabs. And what we've done is we've listed legal issues by their most common kind of like colloquial way of saying it. And then the agencies that help and the eligibility and how you contact them. Okay. So for example, child custody, really common issue that comes up. You're going to go down to custody, child support, or custody, and let me see, sorry.
Control F.
Yeah, you can
to
do
search.
Control F and narrow it down. That's what I always do.
You don't want to watch me screen through everything. What's wrong with you guys? You don't have all day. Right. So we go to Control F, custody. I swear I'm usually good at technology. And you're going to see all the agencies that assist with this. So you'll see VLP. We have our family court clinic, limited assistance only. So we just help fill out petitions, 200% federal poverty guidelines. I think now we sort of squeeze up to 250 because we say, hey, the courts say 250. So, and then, you can start an intake with us. You can call us, you can email. And what I'll say is if you see on here, VLP's family court clinic, do a favor and go to our website with your phone and look up the info of when that is. You go to the Get Help, down to Family Court Clinic, and it's going to give you info about where it is. Wednesdays, 9 to noon and 1 to 4, 401 Montgomery Street in room 116. And you can give that right to the client, okay? And it'll tell you what you need. But this legal referral guide at least will give them the basics and they can contact us and say, we want to go to that clinic. Also explains, Hiscox Legal Aid does custody or visitation, and that they're assigned, but you can call for an intake, especially if they're a previous client. Legal Services Central New York, they help in limited situations. If somebody's a cancer patient or has HIV, New Justice does mediation. So it'll run through it like that. And we try to hit all the main issues that are out there and who helps. Does that make sense? Cool. And then at the back of the guide, there are some resources, and in the box, there are some additional resources. And at the back of the guide, there is an alphabetical listing of each of the agencies. So if the attorney or you knows, oh, I know that Hiscox Legal Aid is going to help with that, then you can just go to the H section, look up Hiscox Legal Aid and Legal Aid Society. It looks like we got it cut off the Frank Hiscox, but it's in the right place for Hiscox. But you look up Hiscox Legal Aid and it'll give you their basic contact info. We got to fix that version that got uploaded. It looks like it got squished out of the top of the box. What questions do y'all have for me? I can think of some. If it's snowing really hard and you're concerned about the clinic may have been closed, Sherry or Tamara usually will email you and let you know if the clinic's been closed. But if you're not sure, prior to 4 o'clock of the afternoon that day, email or call Tamara and she'll be able to tell you for sure. Another question, what's appropriate to wear to the clinic? You can wear we're sort of business casual, don't wear a suit. Don't wear fancy shoes out in the snow. Wear your boots. We had people show up in their high heels. Don't do that. We cannot speak to how well it will be shoveled around the clinic or what the streets will be like. Wear your sensible shoes. It's okay to wear jeans. Just don't wear torn up jeans. It's also okay to wear a skirt or a dress, whatever you would normally wear. As long as it doesn't have like obscenities on it and doesn't have holes on it and all of your regular body parts are covered normally, it's fine. So very business, very, very casual. Okay. What else? What are the other questions you get sometimes, Sherry?
I do think it sets the client a little bit more at ease when we're not all uptight in our little ties and suits,
I
and
think so too.
yeah, I think it makes a big, huge difference.
Mhm.
The other questions we get a lot. Gosh, you pretty much covered them, Sal.
I've done this training a few times.
I know, and you do it
I-
very well.
I was thinking, Sherry or Tamara, just the logistics of the clinic. Like when you show up,
Yeah.
who do you talk to? Do you need to check in with somebody? What room is it going to be in? So there are three main clinics that we've talked about encouraging students to volunteer at. The first is at White Branch Library. The second is at the Westcott Community Center, and the third is at the Samaritan Center. So if
Okay.
you could speak to those three clinics in particular, who to check in with, where to park, just the logistics of what to do.
Each and every one of them is different. Now, I know Miss Tamara has been to all of them
Yeah.
lately, so I'm gonna let because I don't know if any of the logistics have
Okay.
changed. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you speak on that part because I'm not positive anymore.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, normally for the Westcott Community Center location, how that's set up, you typically will let yourself in through the back door. There is a code. There's a like a
Like a
lock
little
on the
lock.
door. So
Yeah.
you would have to have the code for that. Pretty much I normally arrive there before the attorney gets there. So what I do is normally the Westcott Community Center, they already have our box set up at a table for us, which has our supplies, such as our intake forms, legal pads, pens, things like that. And pretty much what I do is I set that out, I pull out the intake forms, place them on a table. I make sure the front door is unlocked for once the clients start to arrive. And pretty much, I will assist with the intake form as far as helping them complete them, and then I hand them over to the attorney, and then I motion for them, they can go back and speak with the attorney. So pretty much it's typically just you and the attorney, and there's really no staff there. I do believe they have a GED course on Thursday, so there is a course that starts at 6 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
So there is someone upstairs, and sometimes you get a few people trickling in thinking that we're part of the GED course, but it's you could just direct them upstairs.
Yeah.
And
Can I just share
yeah,
when that is?
uh-huh.
So the Westcott Community Center Clinic takes place on Thursdays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And we'll be sending up follow-up information on each of these clinics.
Yes.
Yeah, and that one's
And
great because it's
oh,
near the university. It's right at the corner of Westcott and Euclid. It's the old firehouse that's been converted
yes,
to a
yes.
community center. The lockbox is like what you would use when you go to an Airbnb and they have the key instead of
Yeah.
on a lockbox.
Key in there.
And you
It's
do
Yeah.
meet
simple.
and you do
Yeah.
meet right on the first floor in their large
Right.
sort of space. There's really only one big room on the first
Yeah.
floor.
It's like a
And we
community
usually
room.
ask the
Mhm.
clients that are waiting to wait in the hallway just out in the front foyer.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the White Branch location, that one they do have, what's the librarian name? Sherry, do you
Oh my
remember?
gosh. Jessica. No,
Jessica. Is it Jessica?
or Julie.
Julie?
Jessica. It's
No,
Jessica.
Julie's at
No,
Samaritan.
Julie is
Yeah.
at
They're all three are begin with a J, and I can't
Jay.
think of her
Is it
name at the
Judith?
moment.
Jude. Well, at the White Branch location, pretty much the clerk, she sets up everything
Off the
for
top of my head.
the attorney. And she's only doing that because we don't have an intern at that location. So once we get an intern there, you will be responsible for setting up the lot box, and you will set up what we have it now is Cliff. He does part of he travels, what does he do? He goes to Florida every
Yeah,
Yeah,
winter.
he goes to
snowbird.
Florida. He's a
Yeah,
snowbird. Yeah.
he's a
And we
snowbird.
would intakes.
Yeah,
If they Cliff does intakes there, but
yeah,
if you could also follow along
right.
so that I can get them faster than
Yeah,
I do when Cliff comes back, would
right,
be
right.
lovely.
So
Yeah, so at White Branch, when you get there, you're just going to go right up to the main reference
Yeah.
desk, which is right in the middle of the library. You're
yeah,
going to say you're there with the lawyers project, and they will show you. It's a room upstairs. They set it up with a computer they provide already. And you just lead the clients in. They give the clients a number. And so bring in number one, number two, number three, because the clients might be hanging out in the library waiting. That's why it's great being in the library. You're never there alone. There's always at least one librarian, which is really nice. Cliff is one of the most excellent attorneys that we have volunteering with us. He was in leadership at legal services for a decade, two. He had private practice. He knows criminal, he knows family. You name an area of law, Cliff knows it. And
This
he's
is his clinic.
very, and he does it every week. He does it in person all year, except for when he's in Florida, and he does it every week. And you will learn a ton from him, even though he's remote. You'll learn a ton. And White Branch is also on Thursdays, 4:30 to 6. It's over on the north side, so you do have to drive there. I guess there's probably buses, but boy, it's a pain to get around up there.
And that gets a lot of really different cases. That also gets some immigration
Yeah, wide variety.
issues and yeah.
Yeah. Samaritan Center's downtown. It's a converted church. It's gorgeous. And when you go in there, you ask to speak with Julianne. She'll show you into the room. I don't know are they still meeting in her office, basically, Tamara?
No, when you walk in, it's right in the front. They have like a
Yeah.
little, her office is right around the corner. But
Yeah.
you walk
In the little
in,
alcove part.
yeah,
there.
it's a
Oh, they
little,
have you
yeah,
meet
you
right
sit
on
right
them.
there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Julianne is the case manager there. She is phenomenal. So Samaritan Center is a soup kitchen, right? Like people come in, they can get a hot meal. And so the folks who are coming through there, they're not all homeless or, without housing. People come that they're busier at the end of the month than the beginning of the month because people come in, especially when their food stamps run out, or other benefits. Julianne knows everybody. She's one of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met. She knows everybody. She knows everybody personally. She greets them personally.
100%.
And so the people who come to that clinic are people where Julianne has talked with them and said, you need to come talk to the lawyer. And the two lawyers that volunteer there are both retired. Well, actually, I guess Johnson Downey's technically not retired. He still keeps his office up at Barclay Damon.
Not
But
sure about that. I'm
yeah,
not sure John
I
is
don't
or
know.
not.
He's technically not. And then Fred Marty Sr. And
Love Fred.
boy, they are just phenomenal people who are deeply involved in the community, have given back so much over the years. Fred was a trust and estates attorney forever, but he's the guy that will get on his computer and he will try to, he's done somebody's come in with a criminal conviction and he's gotten Julie to print them out the form for certificate of relief from disability, helped somebody fill out the whole application. Like he'll do anything.
He's an
He'll-
answer man.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. Like he's going to figure it out. And John is just, he's been practicing forever too. Long time litigator. He knows everything too. So, in Westcott, you'll work with a variety of attorneys. So, it's really great experience, three very different settings. Three very different. Westcott, you tend to get more people driving in from out of town, visiting or from all over the city. North side, you tend to get people that took the bus there that are more local, and then Samaritan, you get people who've been coming in to get the food, so they could be from anywhere around the city.
Okay.
And the Samaritan Center, that takes place on the first and third Tuesday of the month, from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon. So right
Yeah,
after lunchtime.
It's during their lunch service. That's when they do their lunch service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any questions? Anything at all?
Listen, so each and every one of them really has something different and unique to offer.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, honestly, if you have the opportunity to try and do each and every one of them, you will definitely benefit in the end, rather than just sticking to one clinic. I mean, is it easier for me if you stick with one? Sure, but I don't care about that. I want you guys to get the experience and the knowledge from
Yeah.
all the clinics.
Cool. Well, great. Thank you guys for volunteering your time. We really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful experience. If you don't have a wonderful experience, we need to know. If you do, we also want to know. We want to know if you liked it or not. We really care a lot about providing quality experiences to the folks who volunteer with us because, it is my hope that all of you go on to continue to be really engaged in the communities that you're from and the communities that you end up in, whether that's becoming a lawyer or getting involved as a paraprofessional or doing something totally unrelated. We want you to be involved and we want you to have a valuable experience that makes you see that you can make a difference in the community. So, let us know how it goes.
There's
Cool.
a little happiness right there.
Yeah. Oh, and
Just
Sherry.
a little bit of happy.
I
I'm
love
sorry.
it,
She's
Sherry.
she's 3 months old today, so I have to. It's her birthday.
That's it. I love that.
We
Come
are
on,
a
Sal,
very
you should know
animal-friendly
better.
office. Everyone here is a dog lover for sure.
Yeah, that is true.
Even
That
though
is-
she looks like a cat, I know.
I know we're getting to 2 o'clock and some people might have to jump off. That's the time frame that I gave for this training. I did want to let everyone know that I will be following up with more details about these clinics, as well as a sign-up sheet of when you think you'd be available. So take a look at your class schedule, your work schedule, whatever else you have commitments with. Let me know. So Tamara and I will be the ones following up to see who's going to sign up for which clinic. Since you were the ones participating in the orientation, you might get the first
First
So we can you are welcome to stay on. I'm going to stop recording here momentarily, but feel
Yeah.
free to stay on, or if you're not able to stay on, we'll connect separately via email.
I'm gonna hop off. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sal.
Thanks. Goodbye.
I pretty much am going to do the same thing.
Thank you, Sherry.
I have a little bit I got to take care of, but it was a pleasure meeting you all, and I do hope that you can come and assist at the clinics. Not only our community, but yours back home can definitely use the help. So thank you. Have a
Thanks,
great
Sherry.
afternoon. Bye.